Before the silence took hold, a shadow ruled the frozen world. This was a face built for power and for survival. A hunter designed by the pressure of the Ice Age, perfected for impact. They were the masters of an empire forged in frost, a world where only the strongest could hold their ground. Every movement was a calculation, a testament to a predator that moved with total, silent authority. To the giants of the steppe, they were the very shadow of death, the one thing they feared above all else. They did not hunt alone. Their power lay in the bond of the pack, a living engine of survival. The dire wolf was the peak of its lineage, a titan of muscle and bone in a world that was beginning to fail. But even for a master of the ice, the rhythm of the land was shifting. The first signs of the end were subtle and silent. The once teeming plains were growing quiet. The great herds were thinning, leaving the giants to wander an increasingly empty world. He is still a king, but his kingdom is beginning to crumble beneath his paws. Where there was once the thunder of hooves, there is now only the growing weight of silence. This was a land built for giants, a banquet that is finally coming to an end. The sun is setting on the era of the giants, and for the dire wolf, the long night is coming. To understand how they vanished, we must first see how they ruled. This is the story of the dire wolf. 10,000 years ago, the sun rose on a world defined by ice and endless possibility. These endless plains were a harsh stage, where the wind never stopped, and hunger was a constant shadow. Rivers were the lifeblood of the steppe, drawing both the thirsty herds and the eyes of the hunter. In this land of giants, life was a constant migration, a living wall of muscle moving with the seasons. They were the kings of the steppe, the giants that defined an age and fueled its greatest predators. Across the plains, the ancient bison moved as a living wall, a massive force of muscle and bone. Wild horses, agile and resilient, raced against the biting winds of the cold steppe. It was a world dictated by the rhythm of snow, wind, and the constant ache of hunger. A world forged in ice, brutal and unforgiving, yet flourishing with a richness we can only imagine. Where the great herds moved, the predators followed, silent shadows on the trail of a vanishing world. In a world of ice, water was more than a resource. It was a meeting ground for the thirsty and the hungry. The seasons were the true masters here, shifting the balance of life with every freezing gale. It was a restless world, constantly reshaped by the wind and the unyielding cold. The dire wolf was no mere killer. It was a vital thread in the grand tapestry of the Pleistocene. Wherever the herds wandered, the wolves were never far behind, the silent price of life on the move. For the dire wolf, this world was more than a home. It was a masterpiece of biological opportunity. A brutal landscape forged a brutal hunter, demanding a strength that could endure where others failed. This was the world at its height, a grand frozen theater where the dire wolf was the star. At its peak, the dire wolf was a masterpiece of evolution, a titan built for a world that demanded everything. Its skull was broad, its jaws massive, engineered to deliver a strike that could shatter bone. These were not just teeth, they were tools of survival built to withstand the pressure of the hunt. A thick neck and shoulders of pure muscle gave it the stability to bring down giants. Heavier and more robust than any wolf we know today, it was built for power over speed. Its legs were pillars of endurance, allowing it to shadow the great herds for miles across the ice. Deep paws, built like winter tires, gave it an unbreakable grip on a world of ice. A dense, multi-layered coat served as an iron shield against the sub-zero breath of the north. Every muscle, every bone was designed for impact, to grapple and ground the giants of the steppe. While others relied on speed, the dire wolf traded the sprint for the stamina of a champion. It was not just a larger wolf, it was a separate branch of power, a specialist of the Ice Age. Individual power was only half the story. Their true lethality lay in the shadow of the pack. Every bone was reinforced. Every muscle was tuned to grapple with the giants of the ice. In a world of blinding storms, their senses were the bridge between life and starvation. They were distance runners with a heavyweight's punch, a balance perfected by the ice. Every fiber of their being was an answer to a question asked by the unyielding cold. Every fiber, every bone, and every drop of blood was tuned for one single purpose: survival. A finished masterpiece standing at the summit of predatory power. The dawn light breaks on a family bound by the relentless rhythm of the hunt. Every track is a story, leading the hunters toward a necessary meal. They can taste the air, catching the faint metallic scent of prey from miles away. From the high ridges they watch, calculating the cost of the coming hunt. In this world, patience is the ultimate weapon. A single mistake means a week of hunger. They moved as a single mind, a silent brotherhood bound by tactics and trust. The stalk ends and the silent rhythm of the pack shifts into a violent surge. Calculated and cold, the hunters search for the one crack in the giant's armor. When the wall breaks, the world turns to chaos. This is the moment they waited for. On the frozen plains, coordination is everything. To fail the pack is to invite hunger. A failed hunt carries a heavy price. Every calorie spent is a gamble with survival. Success means life. For a moment, the ache of hunger is replaced by the heat of the prize. Steam and blood rise into the cold, a hard-earned reprieve from the winter's bite. On the open steppe, a prize is only yours as long as you have the strength to hold it. Rest is a brief luxury, earned through the shared power of the pack. In the silence that follows a kill, the pack finds a rare moment of peace. Within the cold stone of the den, the pulse of the future beats in fragile rhythm. The return of the hunter is the arrival of hope for those too small to hunt. A legacy of strength passed from one generation to the next in a cycle as old as the ice. Life is built on movement and hunger, a rhythm that for now still belongs here. A rhythm of power and survival played out across the grandest stage on Earth. In this moment, they are the masters of the ice, and they belong exactly where they stand. Every lineage starts in the dark, a tiny spark of life in a cold and indifferent world. To be born here is to enter a race against the winter from the very first day. A safe den is the only fortress in a land where the walls have no mercy. A safe den is more than a home. It is a shield, but in a shifting world, safety is becoming harder to find. Survival is a shared burden. Every adult must push themselves to the brink to keep the next generation alive. The survival of the weak is tied to the strength of the many. When one fails, the future fades. Every freezing winter raises the stakes, making the simple act of growing up an impossible expense. Growth is slow, but loss is fast. The pack can no longer wait for its children to catch up. In a world of giants, a single limp is a death sentence for the family that depends on you. Every spring, fewer voices answer the dawn. The future is thinning before our eyes. Strength is being drained by the land itself. The engine of the pack is losing its spark. The mathematics of survival are simple and cruel. When death moves faster than birth, the end is already written. Every lost hunter leaves a void that the remaining few can no longer fill. The lineage is fraying. They were specialists of the giants. As the giants vanished, so did the foundation of the wolf's world. Success is no longer measured in kills, but in survivors, and the survivors are becoming rare. Even the strongest bond cannot hunt what is no longer there. The pack is holding on, but the world is letting go. Raw power is no longer a guarantee of survival. In a world that is shifting, strength alone cannot fill the silence. The rhythm of birth can no longer catch the pace of loss. For the dire wolf, the point of recovery is passing. Even in their prime, the world was a test, but it was a test they were built to pass. But the rhythm of the world is changing, and the air carries a scent the pack has never known. The ice, once the hunter's eternal fortress, is finally starting to give way. The white horizon is pulling back, leaving the giants in a land they no longer recognize. The open plains are vanishing, replaced by a tangled world where the old rules of the hunt no longer apply. The ancient maps of the hunt are being erased. For the first time, the path to survival is no longer clear. The giants that once fed the world are vanishing, leaving the hunter with an appetite the land can no longer satisfy. As the world changes, the prey is moving where the predator cannot follow, into a terrain of shadows and stone. The perfect balance of the Ice Age is shattering. The world that made the hunter is finally letting go. The familiar trails have gone cold. Now every meal requires a journey into the unknown. They are no longer the only ones hungry. The competition is growing fiercer as the prizes grow smaller. A new presence emerges, smaller, faster, and more versatile. The gray wolf has arrived. In this new world, power is becoming a burden. Agility is the new currency of survival. But the greatest threat is not a beast. A new predator has entered the valley, one with tools and fire. The valley once had one master. Now every kill is a shared prize and the table is growing smaller. The cold is retreating, the rivals are rising, the world is attacking from every side. Power is no longer enough. The strength that ruled the ice is a cage in a world of shadows. The era of the giants is ending. The world has moved on, and for the dire wolf, there is no way back. The strength of the many has become the burden of the few. The line is thinning. They howl into the darkness, but the world no longer answers. The distances are growing too wide to bridge. The great banquet is over. The valleys that once fed giants are now nothing but silent graveyards. Power has its limits. In a world that is shifting, the old weapons are no longer enough to bring home a kill. Every calorie spent is a gamble, and for the dire wolf, the odds are turning towards zero. Hunger is no longer a visitor. It is a permanent resident, carving its story into the very bone. In this dying world, the cry of the young is falling silent. The future is being buried in the ice. Without the pack, the hunter is incomplete. The strategy that ruled for millennia is now broken. This was once an empire of life. Now it is a vacant monument to a world that has moved on. The ancient roots are quiet. The heartbeat of the land is finally slowing down. Even the ground beneath their paws has turned traitor. The sanctuary of the ice is gone. The crown has fallen. What was once theirs is now claimed by those who can still afford to fight. The pack, once a wall of strength, is now a scattered echo across a cold and lonely land. In a world that used to be full of life, a sighting is now a rare ghost in the distance. The shadows grow longer as the masters of the ice slip silently from the view of history. Reduced to a final few, the bond of the pack is the last thing they have left to hold on to. He was a king of the ice, but even kings must eventually bow to the relentless march of time and hunger. They are scions of a void, inheriting a legacy of hunger from a landscape that has nothing left to give. A miss used to mean a longer night. Now it means the strength to try again may never return. The thunder of hooves has faded. The valley, once a banquet, has become a silent monument to what was lost. He calls to a pack that no longer exists, his voice vanishing into an indifferent sky that keeps its secrets. The cycle has broken. For the first time in 10,000 years, the path forward has hit a dead end. The great packs of the ice are fading. leaving behind a world they no longer recognize. Silence becomes the last companion for a hunter who has no one left to lead. The end does not come with a roar. It comes in the quiet, unnoticed cold of the night. The dire wolf is gone. The ground that once trembled beneath their paws now keeps its secrets. Every trace is being wiped clean. They leave as they lived, in the cold, in the shadows, stepping quietly out of the living world. The era of the Titan is over. The ice has moved on, and the dire wolf is gone. The ice retreated, and with it, the giants fell. The plains went silent, and the throne of the ice remained empty. Life found a new rhythm, smaller and faster, but the predator that shaped the ice was gone forever. Deep beneath the soil, the hunter's power was preserved in stone, waiting to be remembered. For 10,000 years, the dire wolf waited, a silent archive of a world that once was. But it is the skull that tells the true story, the face of a predator built for impact and destined for legend. Today, science is bringing them back, not in flesh but in data, rebuilding a titan from the fragments they left behind. The bones tell a story of sheer force. They were engineered for the impact of a world that didn't know the word gentle. We look at them and see a reflection of our own primal past, a predator that became the very definition of the wild. It is no longer just an animal. It is a ghost of the steppe, a legend carved into the cold stone of history. When they vanished, a whole branch of nature's design was lost, a unique experiment in power that will never be repeated. Their end is a mirror. It reminds us that no matter how powerful a species may be, it is only as strong as the world that sustains it. In these halls, the Ice Age never truly ends. A lost world remains etched in bone, waiting for someone to listen. The Titan has passed. What remains is a bone, a story, and the silence of a world that once knew the heavy tread of the dire wolf.